This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, to see how one MSU professor is providing support to parents of autistic children.
A Concordia professor is showing off his tricks while educating students about science.
One MSUM senior is making a name for himself in the world of music.
Students are sticking it to the stigma surrounding mental illness and starting a conversation.
Some safe places at North Dakota colleges may be losing their safety nets. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Veronica Utek.
And I'm Benjamin Reiki. Are North Dakota students losing a place where they can feel safe? A bill proposed by the North Dakota legislature could remove safe spaces off college campuses.
North Dakota Representative Rick Becker, the sponsor of the bill, says he thinks changes may be needed to the way schools define freedom of speech. Reporter Anthony Frigin shows us why this bill is receiving mixed reactions from students at NDSU.
Safe spaces are locations found all across NDSU where students who feel underrepresented can go to feel safe.
I think they're necessary because they provide an environment for people to hear other opinions and broaden their opinions as well. College is a place where you're supposed to grow as a person.
In a state and even a country where people maybe don't feel safe, it's important to have a place to come to where they can fully express themselves.
But not all students think safe spaces are necessary.
Well, I'm a conservative Muslim. I'm as underrepresented as it gets. In my opinion, anything can be a safe space. I do think the whole concept, I do think the whole idea is kind of dangerous to everyone.
Jamal believes this because he thinks that safe spaces are like echo chambers, where there's a lack of dialogue created. I spoke to the sponsor of the bill, Representative Rick Becker. He says the bill would require the State Board of Higher Education to put forth a freedom of speech policy that includes a student bill of rights. Those rights would guarantee the freedom of speech and assembly, including being able to voice thoughts and opinions even within designated safe spaces. But, he says, the bill would not condone the harassment of students.
So the concept of space is inherently unhealthy and demoralizing. If you believe in something strongly, then to hear what the opposition might be.
The debate remains on whether safe spaces are either channels for free speech or echo chambers for some. Much is to remain to be seen what the effects the bill will have if passed. With photographer Jared Schumacher, Anthony Frigin, Campus News.
The bill is still attempting to move through the North Dakota legislature. However, it has passed to the House of Representatives.
Moving to college can be a rough ride for some students, particularly those struggling with mental illness. I caught up with students at MSUM who are working to stick it to the stigma and start a discussion.
It's a problem that some people don't even think about.
Just the fact that the topic itself is so hush-hush that people are nervous to talk about it.
According to the National Alliance of Mental Health, 1 in 5 adults will experience some form of mental illness each year. That includes college students.
Most of what we see is a lot of anxiety, some depression. There are other issues like students who have bipolar disorder, eating disorders.
There are many options for students to get help. Prairie St. John's, Stanford Hospital, and even Hendricks here on campus.
We try to get students connected on multiple levels, so not just having one provider, but having multiple support systems.
Support for struggling students goes beyond the clinic. Chelsea Wood and MSUM for Change are working on a campaign to ease the stigma around mental illness.
We go into the schools and we talk about how we should end mental health, the stigma around it, and how we should, better what people think about it.
And it doesn't stop there. Bailey Schumann runs a weekly support group where students can come together to share their experiences.
When you go through physical change, you enter a point of mental change. So moving away from home, coming to college, it's just a new environment.
Bailey says that while the transition can be tough, there are people willing to listen on campus.
Just recently today I ran into a friend and she just took a moment, she asked, "Hey, how are you doing?" We have students here who are willing to listen, and I didn't know that at first.
And sometimes, a little thing like listening can help.
Students interested in Bailey Schumann's support group can contact her at schumannba@mnstate.edu. The group meets Mondays at 5:15 p.m. in CMU 204. You can follow MSUM for Change for daily mental health tips and events on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MSUM4Change.
An FBI special agent came to MSUM to give a presentation on what to do when an active shooter is on campus. The agent asked not to be named or shown on camera, but reporter Adam Pope attended the event. Here's what he learned.
It's a terrifying situation that nobody wants to be in. What to do when an active shooter is on campus. First, you want to identify the exits, like the door, or even in a critical situation, the window. Next, anything around you should be used as a barrier between yourself and the individual wanting to come in, including this heavy desk or even these chairs. You want to be sure to stay clear of the window so anyone looking in will see an empty classroom. And lastly, it's important to turn off the lights. In addition to instructions on how to secure oneself in the classroom, students were stressed to the importance of alerting emergency services as quickly as possible, as well as the benefits of being familiar with emergency contact points on campus. MSUM has several emergency alert phones outdoors throughout campus students may use during emergencies. In the event of a targeted violence on campus, the university has the ability to message students via cell phone regarding the whereabouts of the dangerous individual and when the threat has passed. With photographer Jared Eischen, Adam Pope, Campus News.
The FBI agent said active shooter situations are most commonly resolved in under 5 minutes. You won't be seeing drones flying around North Dakota State University anytime soon, after administration banned drones on campus. The policy targeting unmanned aircrafts prevents them from flying around campus. This will primarily affect hobbyists on campus. NDSU Agriculture Research Program, which is the primary user of the drones purchased by the university, will continue to use unmanned vehicles at their numerous experimental facilities outside the restricted airspace to monitor crop growth and research operations.
At Hector International Airport here, we have a 5-mile ring roughly around the airport where you have to have permission from the FAA to fly in that area. So that's a process to go through with them to obtain that approval.
The penalty for flying inside this zone is $10,000. Last weekend on Campus News, we saw how college students with autism can use campus resources to make the most out of their college experience.
Now, reporter Tyler Ziegler shows us how one MSUM professor is offering support to the parents of an autistic child.
Rachel Stotts is a speech pathology professor at MSUM. Her son Reese, who is now 22, was diagnosed with autism at just 4 years old. Rachel wanted to use her experiences with her son to help other parents by forming the FM Autism Support Group.
Everything that I was doing with my son was like a first time for whoever I was interacting with, and it was so frustrating, and all I kept thinking is, I don't want other moms to have to do this.
After starting in a coffee shop and moving from churches into even homes, the FM Autism Support Group finally found a permanent home here at the local YMCA. The group has been meeting here in a small daycare classroom for the last 3 years.
We moved it to the Furcho YMCA. They're so gracious with their space and letting us use 2 different locations.
Parents with children diagnosed with autism in the FM area bring their kids to enjoy the YMCA's Exer Zone, while their parents share advice, enjoy snacks and refreshments, and most importantly, embrace each other's company. Former MSUM student Amanda Dowling takes her son Zach to the monthly gathering.
Zach's been doing really well.
And she says it does wonders for the both of them.
Once I stopped thinking there was something wrong with him and started just accepting him for who he was, things got a lot easier.
Along with all the laughter and the storytelling, there are times when the meetings do get emotional.
Everyone has a different thinking style. We should just be embracing that.
Rachel encourages any family affected by autism to at least try out the support group.
Just sit and listen. You don't even have to introduce yourself. You don't have to say anything. Just please stay.
With photographers Paulina Glowacki and Derek Barkowitz, Tyler Ziegler, Campus News.
Parents interested in the FM Autism Support Group can contact Rachel Stotts at 701-371-7211. Not every student who arrives on campus is ready for college-level courses, but professors at MSUM say that doesn't mean students can't excel. Remedial or developmental courses are offered to students who may need a little bit of extra help. Reasons include lower Accuplacer scores, ACT scores, or just wanting to brush up on their skills. Some are arguing that students who take these courses are not ready for college and should not be allowed admission. But educators at MSUM oppose that philosophy.
I completely disagree with that philosophy of not letting them in. There's so many different situations. Some situations could be like a time lapse. Maybe someone doesn't come to college right after high school, so they have just forgotten those and they just need a review of these topics.
According to the Washington Post, 1 in every 4 first-year college students will take some type of developmental course.
Minnesota State University Moorhead has a new engaging way to hand out scholarships using social media. The hashtag Be a Dragon campaign gives prospective students a chance to win scholarships by tweeting why they want to attend MSUM. Mary Mack from Dickinson, North Dakota was named as the first recipient of the scholarship, with 3 more winners yet to be chosen for a $2,500 scholarship. In addition, 2 others with the most likes and the most retweets will receive a $1,000 scholarship. The contest is open to students who will either be a freshman next year or are transferring from another institution. This is the second year that MSUM has offered Be a Dragon scholarships. Students at Eastwood Elementary in West Fargo, North Dakota are learning that science can be fun.
With Concordia professor Dr. Graham Wiley, science is always creative and also a little bit silly. Reporter James McCarty shows us how entertaining it really is.
My name is Dr. Graham. The event, Schools Alive, let Dr. Wiley make science extremely entertaining and interactive for everyone. What we're doing is we're here to just kind of put on a science show. So we're going to kind of get the kids to line up on the bleachers and just show them how exciting science can be. Even though Wiley's presentation was short, he kept the crowd eager to learn more. So we're going to do some of the more dangerous stuff that maybe is less hands-on. But it's going to be more of the kind of getting them really excited. A lot of what you've seen here tonight, don't do this at home. Except this one. Do this at home because this is awesome. For a lot of people who are in the sciences, there's that moment when you're young, when you have a pivotal science moment, where you get that moment where you think science is really awesome, science is really cool. And there's an onus upon you to give back that. It's hammer time! You can't touch this. Wiley even gets some of his students, like Michaela Meyer, to keep coming back and helping with these unique events.
I like kids. I like Wiley and the experiments that we do.
High five of science.
This is my first time using liquid nitrogen, so I guess that was kind of exciting.
All right, Michaela. Whether he's lighting his hand on fire or showing a couple kids an experiment, there's never a dull moment with Wiley. Are you excited about science? Yeah! With photographer Leah Backstrom, James McCarty, Campus News.
Dr. Wiley is planning on doing more events like Schools Alive in the near future.
The University of Bristol evacuated a building after a student accidentally made a bomb. The chemical that led to the bomb was formed by a PhD student unintentionally. The student was using the same ingredients used in the Paris attacks in 2015. A bomb disposal team set off the bomb in a controlled environment. The chemistry department is being investigated for any other possible risks. Thankfully, no one was injured.
Students at NDSU are being forced to make tough decisions in a poverty simulation. Reporter Jacob Ambrose shows us what they learned.
Join with one other family and start working your way through those questions.
At NDSU, students gather at the Memorial Union Ballroom to find out what it's like to live in poverty. The poverty simulation gives college students the task of role-playing the lives of low-income families.
My part was a child care teacher. I took in children of newborn age who weren't able to go to school and making sure that they were taken care of while parents are either away at work or running errands.
Participants get a new experience living with a low income and gives them a taste of reality of the hardships people are currently dealing with.
How old is she?
14.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting that you guys kind of even debated, right? Especially because we're sitting here as college students. So debating that should my 14-year-old drop out of school in order to help our family.
This experience has been an eye-opener for some of those involved in the simulation.
I mean, children in jail surprised me.
The United States Census Bureau says 13.5% of all Americans fell below the poverty line last year. With that statistic, organizers of the poverty simulation hope to give students a better idea of what so many people struggle with.
How many of you kind kind of, I guess, show of hands, survive the month, meaning you paid all your bills.
With photographer Anna Sandmeyer, Jacob Ambrose, Campus News.
43 million people in America are living on less than $2 a day. NDSU used the poverty simulation to help raise awareness of the realities that so many Americans face. There's a major drop in law schools around the nation. In 2010, there were 87,900 students who applied for law school. The number has now dropped to 54,500. Indiana Tech University is closing its law school after just 3 years. There was only one student who passed the bar exam, and the school had been suffering $20 million in losses. More and more law schools are closing down as well because of a significant decrease in student enrollment. Indiana Tech University is closing June 30th.
Most students, when registering for classes, overlook taking a business course. MSUM is trying to change that. Reporter Stephen Larson takes us to business school.
So if you think you're going to do great for the world.
At the Pasica School of Business, Professor Keenan Meyer is hard at work ensuring that business classes are geared for both business majors as well as everyone else.
In creating this coursework then, what we've done is we've separated ourselves from all of those other colleges and universities around the country that invite non-business students into their classroom. We actually create a classroom environment for non-business students.
Business classes are important to every major because they instill a different set of principles that students may not get from other classes.
As I was going from town to town across the country.
Meyer believes that everyone should have some business knowledge and says that knowledge will make a difference.
We're conducting an interview for a job. Even if you're not in business or anything else, you still have to sell yourself. And then once you get into that operation, you got to sell your ideas.
Meyer hopes that a universal background in business will prepare students for real-world experiences.
We're trying to create a university-wide or cross-campus culture in entrepreneurism.
With photographer Branson Reeser, Stephen Larson, Campus News.
The classes are offered during both fall and spring semester. The Great Composers Competition Series is a monthly international competition for music students around the world.
The most recent competition was Best in Schubert. Reporter Zach Hoffner introduces us to the MSUM student who placed third.
Eric Hagfors, a senior at MSUM, entered the contest on the very last day where he performed a piece called Der Tod und das Mädchen. So when he learned the results, he was definitely surprised.
And there, like in the small print, I did see my name and I just literally threw my phone. I went, oh my God, no way!
Singing has always been something Eric knew he wanted to do since he started in middle school.
Choir has always been an integral part of my life, like what I was meant to do.
The connections Eric makes and the camaraderie is what it's all about.
Coming together and creating this sound, this group effort that is created when people are singing together, the harmonies that are created, the feelings, the emotion that really get to you when you're singing with other people. It's a beautiful thing. I can't replicate it any other way.
Eric's voice coach says he has always been very talented, but he couldn't be where he is today without the practice.
He's very talented, and he always has been. He was kind of rough around the edges when he started, and so along with the other music faculty, he has learned a lot of things about music and how to sing. It's just a really great dragon.
Eric offers a bit of advice for students who have a passion in singing as well.
There will be something that pops up with it that will be able to, keep you to have an income or get to know something that will make you money or something. There's going to be something. If you have the passion for it, you'll be able to find a way. What's deep inside?
With photographers Veronica Utek and Ben Collette, Zach Hoffner, Campus News.
Eric's dream is to be a director of a world-famous choir, but says he has plenty of fallback options if that's not in the cards, as he's a music ed major and will be certified as soon as he graduates this fall. Dragons of all shapes and sizes were asked to come out and show off their school spirit. MSUM Dragons, alumni, families, and community members gathered in Nemzik Hall to get their pride on in honor of Dragon Frost. There was plenty of pizza, face painting, acrobatics, and of course, Dragon Pride, as the crowd cheered the men and women's basketball teams to victory over Bemidji State.
Dragon Frost is just one of those weeks where there's a lot more events happening every single day, and it just kind of brings everyone on campus and then the community together.
This is the 10th year that Dragon Frost has been held at MSUM. And now we turn it over to Haley Foster for a look at this week's sports.
Haley, sounds like both basketball teams have been having a stellar season so far.
That's right, you guys, and one player on the men's team is having a standout performance. MSUM junior guard Tanner Kretschmann is having his best year yet as the Dragons move into postseason play. Reporter Brendan Finger takes us to Nemzik Fieldhouse to see how he's helping his team get ready for playoffs.
Hardly any day is a normal day of practice for junior Tanner Kretschmann, who recently scored his 1,000th career point in early February. Kretschmann joins 30 other Dragons as a member of the 1,000 Point Club. Kretschmann says there are some things he needs to do to continue his successful play.
Just keep taking it day by day and continuing to try to improve, not being satisfied with how the season's going right now, although we're happy with it, but we still have a long way to go in our eyes.
As one of the top scorers for the Dragons, Kretschmann is an important piece to his team. Coach Chad Walthall has high praise for his guard and is proud of his success.
He's really smart. He takes care of the basketball. His assist turnover ratio is the best in the country, so he's just an overall good point guard, and he's developed a lot over the last 3 years.
Practice is where dedicated players are able to perfect their skills during the season. Walthall explains just what kind of practice player Kretschmann is.
Comes in every day prepared. I think he understands how important practice is to improve as a player for games, and that's something that sometimes players don't understand.
As the Dragons continue into the postseason, Kretschmann says he has goals for his team moving forward.
Just to try to reach our maximum potential and start playing our best basketball towards the end of the year and hopefully make a long, great tournament run.
Kretschmann looks to help lead the NSIC champion Dragons as they continue on into the postseason. With photographer Martin Schlegel, Brendan Finger, Campus News Sports.
Tough times are ahead for athletics at the University of North Dakota. UND President Mark Kennedy says the department has to trim $1.3 million from its budget in the next year. It's part of expected cuts to higher education in North Dakota. President Kennedy says he understands it's a difficult hurdle for the department to overcome, but it is something the school has to do. The UND Athletics Department must submit its recommendations for the cuts by March 6th. The Concordia wrestling team is looking to continue their success all the way to the Division III regional tournament. The Cobbers are 10-8 in duels this season. This record is partially due to the success of wrestler Cole Sladek. Sladek is ranked number 6 in his weight class and has a 14-1 match record. He and the Cobbers host Division III West Regional later today. 30 wrestlers from the regional will qualify for the national tournament in March. Most college athletes get tired at some point over the course of a game, but one MSUM basketball player's experience was more than just exhaustion. Reporter Tanner Robinson shows us how he overcame the odds just in time for his final season.
Inside Nemzik Fieldhouse, the intensity is rising for the MSUM men's basketball team. One key player on the team is fifth-year senior forward Matt Nelson. His time on the team has earned himself a rather affectionate nickname from his coaches.
We call him the old man, Grandpa, because he's been here 5 years, and so we give him a little guff for that.
Along with experience comes an ability to lead, and Nelson has exercised those leadership skills on his teammates.
He's very competitive, and that's something that really benefits all of us.
Nelson's competitive spirit helps to energize the team through games. But during a game last season, he started to notice some changes in his playing style.
I was just exhausted trying to play, just up and down the court a few times, and I felt like I'd been out there for 10 plus minutes. So I kind of figured I was sick or something like that.
However, it was more than just the average sickness. 3 weeks later, Nelson found out that he had blood clots in his lungs, and his season came to a screeching halt. Nelson's teammates were unsure of what was going to happen, but it was the news that helped the team build a stronger bond.
We kind of just became closer and almost in a sense we were trying to go out and compete for Matt in a way.
Nelson says his drive to come back and compete is fueled by one simple passion.
Just the love of the game of basketball. I mean, I've been playing it my whole life basically, and just being able to play it for one last season, my senior year, is kind of giving it everything I got.
And his team has one final goal to end the final chapter of Nelson's college career.
This is Matt's last year. He's a fifth-year senior. Let's go win another championship for him.
With photographer Taimur Sati, Tanner Robinson, Campus News Sports.
Nelson started in all 28 regular season games following the health setback. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's awesome being able to go and see Matt playing the game that he loves.
Absolutely. Talk about a good rebound.
Thank you, Haley. Riddles, puzzles, and hypothetical explosions were all obstacles MSUM students faced in their attempt to gain their freedom.
The Dragon Entertainment Group brought an escape room to the Comstock Memorial Union in honor of Dragonfrost. Reporter Jared Eischen shows us some of the mysteries students had to solve in order to break out.
That's a goal. On a Friday night, these students are doing something a little different.
And then it'll be 4 down.
It's called the Escape Room, put on by the Dragon Entertainment Group. Students are put in a room and have to work together using clues to figure out how to open locks, solve various puzzles, and finally, defuse a bomb.
Connections invalid.
Jordan Schneider, an MSUM student, decided to come and check out what all the hype was about.
This is a 5-letter. We need 5 letters.
5 letters?
Yeah.
What about those?
The darkness of it made that suspense atmosphere a part of it, and it was just a lot of fun, just seeing all the different tricks and mysteries that was there.
I don't understand.
Jordan's group managed to complete all the puzzles and escape. Other groups, however, were not able to complete all of the puzzles in time.
Well, the bomb went off, so it didn't go well, but my group was pretty awesome. Had a couple of my fraternity brothers in there, some other people, and we were pretty good at finding some of the clues around the room, so.
Oh, yes.
Jared Eischen, Campus News.
While the escape room was only on campus for a night, there's a center in West Fargo. You can buy tickets online at fargoescaperoom.com. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at the escape room.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.